Well, hello everybody. Welcome to skipping lunch at the actual time where I'm skipping lunch, although I didn't actually skip lunch today, so things are a little bit confused. But I'm really excited to have on today someone that I just met and is currently doing a Kickstarter for a very interesting setting. I am on with Bodhi Camboris from Homie and the Dude. So, Bodhi, say hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here, Wes, yourself, and anyone who's out there listening. Thank you for just taking the time to enjoy me and this beautiful conversation we're about to have.
It is really awesome to have you on. Thank you for making the time. I know your dad is off picking out someone from the airport right now,
Yes,
and
indeed.
you're doing driving lessons, and we have a very nice time split between the two of us. So you're getting ready for dinner, and I'm just skipping lunch. So it's a good time.
Yeah, it's food time. It's food
It's
time.
food time somehow.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
hello, Justin in chat, one of my
yeah.
players there. How you doing, Justin?
Hey,
And hey, Shadowmane.
hey, Jason.
Welcome in. All right, but we're going to do a little bit of get to know you questions. And one of the reasons why I like to do this is because this is a very strange hobby that we're in.
Yes, indeed.
That's a very good thing, but it's a very strange hobby. And I always like to ask people, what first got you into this wonderful and odd and weird hobby?
Great question. The origin story, as it were.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I was walking down an alleyway at night with my two parents after attending the opera that we left early because I was feeling afraid. And a man pulled a gun and said, "Give me those pearls." No, I'm joking. No, I'm not Batman. I wish I was.
He's Batman.
Yeah. You've never seen me in the same room as him, so you don't know.
This is true.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
so the answer to your question is I played Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 when I was about 14 years old with my drama teacher.
Okay.
And this man ended up influencing me for a large part of my life and was a father figure to myself while I wasn't living at home during my time at school, as we just spoke about. And he just very much advocated for D&D. He was a big writer, that kind of thing. And so I joined in with the session that was happening that existed in our school, the club, I guess, or whatever it was. And I spent an afternoon building a 3.5 character because it takes a whole afternoon to build a 3.5 character. And so after that, a thing about me is I'm not a big math person. I don't like maths a lot, though I can be good at it if I put my mind to it. I don't like it. So after an afternoon of doing maths, I was like, honestly, I don't even want to play the game. I was like, I actually don't even want to do this because that was just way too like that was not fun for me. And so
So
I
was
didn't
the
play.
can I break it really quick? So I'm
Yeah.
guessing you have not played Pathfinder.
No, I have not played. No, that's not true. I played one game of Pathfinder like
Okay.
a year ago, basically. But
Okay.
similar process of like, but at this point, I'm weathered to it, so I can handle the
Okay.
afternoon of making character sheets. But so I had a little introduction there. I actually didn't play, but I did watch a few sessions of those people, and then fast forward like pretty much 12 years, 12 years and COVID happens. And at the time, everyone's inside doing bits and bobs. And Tom, my father, who I do Homie and the Dude with, who's my co-founder, we send each other videos all the time. I'm not sure if you have people like that in your life. We just like to send each other YouTube videos we like, or memes or whatever. We just love sharing stuff with each other. And so he sent me a video of an incredible actual play group called Acquisitions Incorporated, which I'm sure you might be familiar with. And it was the OG group of Jerry Holkins, Patrick Rothfuss, Mike Rahulik, and Chris Perkins at the helm. And what he sent me was the live show they did in PAX East in like 2015 or something like that. And both of us were just like, what the hell is this? Like, they're everyone in the crowd is shouting green flame, and it's all manner of chaos. And Chris Perkins is rolling with whatever the people throw at him. Patrick Rothfuss is being an incredible creative. Jerry Holkins is being his little rules lawyery self that he is. Mike Rahulik's being all weird, and it was just amazing. Tom and I were just stunned by the beauty of it, the storytelling, the fun that these people were having. And so within a week, we had purchased the starter set of D&D 5th edition, which at the time was The Lost Mines of Phandelver.
Okay.
And I lost a game of rock paper scissors, and I was the GM. um, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to be the GM. And so I learned. I was like, I know there's a player's handbook, and I know
Mhm.
there's other resources out there, but I just studied the starter pack basically, and got that in, ran that, and we had loads of fun. To be fair to myself, who was a terrible GM at the time, and my players, who were awful at the time as well, we had a butt ton of fun. We had really, really, really great time.
Mhm.
Um, However, all of us acknowledge that I probably should not be running a written module. I should probably be running some homebrew that I can make my own, and I don't feel constrained by adventure paths or things like that, and I don't feel this weird pressure to make the story what is in the book and not what I think it should be in my head, that kind of thing. And then from there, I designed my own homebrew world, which was called the Sky Realm. It's like a land of floating islands, similar to Avatar, not the Last Airbender, the blue people,
Yes.
um, and so similar to that kind of vibe. And yeah, it just spiraled from there. Honestly, like and it's been my addiction, my love, my passion, my pretty much everything since then. And my GM style has changed 1,000 times, and I'm constantly refining, and now I'm game designing, and so it really has just snowballed for me and us on our end, realistically.
Love it. That's a great story.
Thanks.
Because we had talked before we went on stream. You had been in boarding school, like
Yes.
literally, like I'm in Harry Potter.
Yes.
Um, what was it like when you hit when the pandemic hit? Were you still in boarding school at that point?
No, 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 no. So I had so in England, what we do is we do something called your GCSE run, or it used to be the GCSE run. I know they've now changed it again. But you from ages about 10 to I think 16, basically, you are in what is called high school, like secondary school here.
Okay.
Then from 16 to 18, you enter something called college, which is where you refine down to either three A levels or a single like B Tech subject, essentially. I chose performing arts at that time. And then at 18, I left to go. I actually got diagnosed with cancer, and me and my two best friends decided at that moment we were all meant to go to university. Truthfully, all of us were planning to go to university, and my diagnosis rattled me, rattled my family, and meant that I was like, cool guys, I'm not going to uni. I need to go travel. If this is bad, I need to make sure that I have seen some of the world. And my two
Okay.
best friends actually gave up going to university as well, and they came traveling with me. And they didn't go to university, and they came and traveled with me. We had an amazing time traveling Asia and that part of the world, and some of the Polynesian islands and things like that. And then we came back to the UK, moved in, all of us moved in with each other, and I started working and doing all that. And then probably about 2 or 3 years later, I met my partner. Me and her then left to go traveling, and we went and had some time where we were. And by traveling, I mean backpacking.
Yeah.
Chucking on a big backpack, and for
Hmm.
me, strapping a skateboard to the back of that, and then going around. And then what? As literally, and I think me and my partner might have been the key perpetrators of COVID here in the UK, because we did China in November, Japan in December, Taiwan in like the end of December, and then Italy, and then to England. And we got sick as soon as we came back to England, and we didn't realize at the time, but we think it was like COVID. So
Yes.
uh, yeah, it,
That
it
happened to my
lines up.
brother-in-law. He went to a conference and came back and was like, "Oh, that was COVID."
Yeah,
He had no clue. So,
exactly. Exactly. So then lockdown happened then. So I was already like 19, 20 at that point already. So I was well
okay.
out of my educational years. I've been working for like five years at that point.
Wow. Okay. I mean, it's for us in US, we keep adolescence going until we're like 40.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
which sometimes shows. So that's such a
Yes.
different experience. I wanted to get into that into that idea. But your channel has been around since 2020. I went and looked
Yes.
at it and came through. So was Homie and the Dude a pandemic project?
Yes.
that you
Well,
and your dad kind of did? Okay.
100%. We got bored during the pandemic, and we were like every other apparent. This is hilarious. Like every other white male across the world, we were like podcasting. That's what we're gonna do when we're bored. So let's start a podcast. We started our podcast, and we, for a period of time, probably for about a year and a half, we did interviews, but with completely random people. So it was everything from big musicians, stuntmen, Olympic athletes, like professional skateboarders, like pretty much anybody who would be willing to talk to us, who we considered awesome in the world. We were like reaching out to and trying to talk to them.
That's
And,
awesome.
thanks. And then from there, it just snowballed into Tom discovering D&D, us refining down to no longer doing our. We were doing like MMA interviews. We're doing post-fight interviews for MMA, and our podcast was the original thing. And then we narrowed down to just post-fight interviews and started the TTRPG space, or for us, it was D&D back then.
Gotcha.
And then we phased out the MMA interviews as well, and then we just went full TTRPGs, or at the time until the OGL stuff happened, full D&D basically.
That is the strangest content arc I've ever heard in my life.
Right,
We
right.
interviewed awesome people, and somehow we got into MMA post-fight things, and now we're doing TTRPG stuff.
Yeah. It was the reasoning was because we were like, if you look at big podcasters interviewing like popular people or people with, you know, an amount of following or people who are known, usually increases your own following. So that was our
Mm-hmm.
first kind of idea. The MMA
Yeah.
stuff is because Tom and I are both martial artists. We've both done martial arts throughout our lives.
Gotcha.
We also, like, I grew up loving old kung fu movies with like Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, you know, Tony Jaa, you know, all these incredible, you know, people. So I grew up very much watching those from my local like VHS store,
Oh my
and
gosh.
in Spain. And so I fell in love with that. And so since about the age of 14, Tom has always watched boxing. Tom grew up in Vegas. And so
Okay.
he used to sneak into like the MGM to go watch, you know, what was back in the day Tyson versus Foreman and things like that. And so when I hit 14, 15, Tom had also been watching the UFC kind of arc for a very,
Mm-hmm.
very long time. And so I joined him in watching that when I was about 14. I think I watched my first card when I was 14, and I haven't missed a UFC card since then. So it's just, we love martial arts. We love the beautiful art of combat and the stunning dance that real life chess game is basically, and it's influenced our TTRPGs massively as well.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. That should be fun. Like I said, that is a fascinating arc.
Thank you.
This is the question that's going to reveal more about you than any of the other questions that we probably have in this
Love
entire
it.
interview. And you're the third person to answer it. I came up with this just a couple of interviews ago. So
Lucky number 3.
you are standing at a table with 4 other players.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them who's standing with you all has GM experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 chairs that are all on the sides of the table, and there's 1 chair at the GM spot.
Mm-hmm.
So which chair are you going for, and why?
Wow, that's a fun question. That's a really fun question. If I've invited everyone, then I'm going to sit at the head of the table as the GM. If it's been my invite and that's why everybody's here and I've organized it, and it's me being like, hey guys, I got a new system that I want to test, then I'm sitting at the head of the table.
Okay.
In all honesty, I'm a forever GM. I love the space. I love telling stories. I get this, same as every GM, that sick love of watching your friends enjoy themselves and have a great time and,
Mm-hmm.
and tell an awesome story. So I would usually choose the chair at the head of the table is the GM. However, if I had the choice and I had been invited, oh my goodness, I actually want to be probably as far away from the GM as possible, so that if there's any new players, I can be within their space helping them out and trying to pass assists and do that kind of stuff with them
Gotcha.
as much as possible. So I'd say one of the further chairs if I'm a player.
I would no. I was originally going to say this, so I asked you an either or question, and your answer was yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But the last thing I want to help newer players do stuff. It's like, so you're doing the assistant GM stuff on the side, which is
Yes, yes.
we're we'll
Yeah,
lean you
it's
more
important.
towards the GM things.
Yeah,
It is important. It's nice to have experienced players at the table to help folks on.
totally.
So very good. Listen, and before I even forget, I am very glad that the cancer you're diagnosed with, that you've been able
Oh,
to
thank
have
you.
a wonderful and full life.
Thanks. Yeah.
I don't wish that on anybody.
Hey, it was a roller coaster for me. You know, it was as an 18-year-old, it definitely. I say this to a lot of people, and I'm not ashamed of it. I was a little asshole
Okay.
before my cancer diagnosis. I just, you know, I was a bit of a little like hood rat going around skateboarding, being a problem. You know, just generally not appreciating life
Uh
as
huh.
much as I should. And I call it my poison blessing. You know,
Okay.
it's this thing that marred me, but I, you know, grew to appreciate my parents so much and all the things they do for me and all the life that they've provided for us. I grew to appreciate my friends, my work, my, you know, just waking up in the morning, getting to watch a movie that I love, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so now I appreciate every breath. I appreciate every moment. It's I feel fortunate very much so every single day. So
That
yeah,
is
I appreciate you
awesome.
saying that.
I mean, I don't wish that on anybody. My wife is a cancer survivor, so
Yeah,
it's something I do not wish on anyone. But I'm glad that you're doing okay, and I love that lesson that you took from it, which is
thank
great.
you, thank you.
Especially because when we're 18, we're all a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, yeah,
We're gonna
yeah,
live forever, and everyone else sucks. I'm like, okay, that's good.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, yep.
yeah.
When we get to the stream, remind me to tell you a story of my daughter, which is one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me in my entire life.
Oh,
So
man.
we're talking about the Scorched Basin.
Yes.
This is a post-apocalyptic setting, which is kind of cool. But for folks that haven't had a chance to check a look at your promo materials yet, and there's some really good videos on the Kickstarter site. So folks, scan that link if you want to check it out after the interview, please. But can you just explain to folks what how this post-apocalyptic setting got created?
Great, awesome question. So, we had just finished our previous Kickstarter, which was the Wandering Tavern, and we asked our audience what they wanted. We gave them, I think, like 3 or 4 options, and they chose a desert setting as the one that they were most excited about. And
Okay.
so we just ran with it. And you know, for me, I love a quote from Brendan Lee Mulligan. He says, you know, a GM is only as good as the obscure references they make. And that's an incredible quote because for me, I try and absorb as much content as possible, whether that's reading books, reading anime, reading comics or graphic novels, watching movies, watching TV shows, you know, watching anime, you know, whatever it might be. I try and just consume as much as feasibly possible. So that I can reference it and mash tropes together and twist tropes and flip things upon their heads. And so coming into this, I was like, okay, so not only do I get to do a desert setting, which is awesome inherently, but I get to combine Dune and Mad Max, which are 2 of my favorite IPs and 2 of my favorite, you know, things that exist out in the world. But also I get to make a place that is, you know, like Jakku Tatooine, Fallout, you know, the game series. Like I get to pull on all the desert references I have in my arsenal, you know, John Carter, all that good stuff, and pull it all in to this setting. So I was just very excited about it. Hello, Glenn.
Good. Hi, Glenn. That's all. I was going to ask you a little bit later, but so you have Dune, Tatooine, Jakku.
Yeah.
I like to pretend Jakku doesn't exist. Um,
Yeah.
and then Mad Max,
Yeah.
obviously, Fallout, which I hadn't even considered.
Yeah.
And
Lots of
what else
desert.
did you have on there?
Uh,
It's a really neat smorgasbord.
I mentioned John Carter is another
John
great one.
Carter, yes.
That's all set
So
on Mars and is really fantastic. But there's so much more. I mean, you look at
yeah,
even the Wheel of Time has a section that's based in that's set in the desert. You know,
yeah,
it almost all great kind of fantasy or sci-fi stuff. You will see desert somewhere in there at some point, hilariously. So yeah, it's
yeah.
super widespread.
So what the in-game fiction? How did this basin get created then?
Great question. Oh man, yeah, you're these questions are awesome. I'm absolutely loving this. I'm so excited. So the in-game fiction is basically a giant meteor crashes into a coastal town. It absolutely decimates the area, killing the majority of the people that exist there, and creates this giant crash site, basically, that is a sunken basin from the force of the meteor's impact. A few people survive, and some stay on the surface within this basin, and others go underground.
Hmm.
And those two groups formulate the ancestral kind of bonds of everyone in the basin, and everybody stems back to one of those two groups, basically. And essentially, it's this giant basin that's probably about 1,500 miles wide from one side to the other.
Okay.
Giant cliff face walls that are like 400 to 500 feet tall of like sandstone rock that encircles the entire basin, which allows players to, or GMs to, plug it into their setting if they need to. So if they already have a world, like say you're, someone who loves running things in Wildmount, for example,
Hmm.
you could put the Scorched Basin in as a meteor crash site, or you could run your entire campaign within the walls of the basin and never even leave, basically.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the concept of then how it all started. Slowly over time, this meteor and the crystals that were left behind started, causing this drying up of things. The heat became a big factor. Water started disappearing, and the struggle for survival kind of began for all these people.
And canonically speaking, how many years after that impact is the game set?
500. It
So
will.
you're,
I mean, we
I
give you
mean, you,
500 years of history. You could set
yeah,
it whenever you want in those 500 years. But yes, 500 years is when the rest of the
to
book
use the
is
full
generally.
arc that you've presented,
Yes.
500 years. So, but you've given enough time for differentiation between the cultures and a
Yes.
growth of the population, which is should be interesting. So, in your mind, because I know that this is meant to be transported into any system, be anywhere, but in your mind, when you're writing this, are you setting this on Earth or just an Earth-like planet?
Great. Wow, that's an awesome question. Do you know what? Because it's this plug and play style setting that we create, similar with the Wandering Tavern, I don't really have to think much about the rest of the world lore that's going on outside of this, the rest of what I would call the rules of the world, or the
Uh-huh.
laws of the whatever world exists outside of this. Everything that's within it can be contained to that space, and it has developed there. So in the same way that I don't know, some force wielders in Star Wars learn things a different way if they live in a different part of the solar system.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You could learn the different stuff. But in my head, we kind of, all of our settings are linked together. So the Wandering Tavern has a note at the beginning written by someone called Amelia, who is this traveling journalist who wants to discover more about the Wandering Tavern. Throughout the
Okay.
book, you'll also find her story as she's on the Wandering Tavern written out in like note form that she's put throughout. In this book, there's a letter written from a prince to Amelia saying, "Hey, my dad is going crazy, and he gave me this journal and told me I need to go find the basin, that there's something there that can help him from dying. So I am going to the basin, and you are the smartest person I know. So I've sent you a copy of his diary to begin seeing if you can suss it out. If you can, meet me at the basin, and we'll work it out together." Basically.
That was my next question in your mind. So there is life outside of the basin on this in
Yes.
your idea of where it takes place. So there, the rest of
Yes.
this world exists still, and the
Yes. So
basin is just kind of its own thing.
yeah. So the only thing that I have plotted that actually exists outside the basin in my head, other
Yeah.
than the Wandering Tavern floating around, is
Uh-huh.
something called the Nouveau Empire, which is where this young prince who's writing the book is from, and it's where his father, the king, or the Mad King as they call him, or Altair as he's known throughout the rest of the book. They all stem from this empire called the Nouveau Empire, basically,
Okay.
which is somewhat close to the basin in my
It
head.
gives you room for expansion. It's a good idea,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Very good. Also, I love post-apocalyptic settings where there's different areas that are handling the apocalypse much differently and to
Totally.
see how they match. That's one of the things I used to love about the when TMNT switched to the After the Bomb supplements. And my favorite TTRPG book of all time when I was growing up was Mutants Down Under when they went down to Australia.
Hell yeah, that's
So
awesome.
it was so cool. Um, so we already talked about your inspirations for this, but for me, when I was just kind of going through the primer material that you can download from the Kickstarter site right now, you can all go there afterwards and watch it, folks, or download it. But you have these civilizations that have been created inside the basin that are all smaller because there's a distinct lack of resources in here.
Yeah.
Um, so I got two questions then. First off, how many different factions exist in the basin that characters can play from?
Five. There's
So there's
five
five.
different factions. Each one comes with like unique cultures, traditions, and celebrations, combat essentials, hierarchy systems, languages in some cases. Yeah, each one is vastly different from the rest, but hilariously, like I said, all stem back to those two original groups of folks. So
Mm-hmm.
the lineages can be tracked very easily from where they were in the basin. You can see how the groups formed and why they kind of formed the way they did and things like that. So yeah, five factions that you could play. You could all play from one faction. You could be each of you from different factions. You could all be from outside the basin and come and interact and maybe integrate with the five factions. It's entirely up to you.
Well, that was a couple of my next questions. So the folks that live in the basin are aware that the rest of the world is much different than the basin?
So there's only one faction that knows what exists outside the basin, and even then,
Gotcha.
they don't really know because so essentially the Kai, who are the super rich, aristocratic, kind of highfalutin folk, have the best technology, and they live in the basin wall. Where
Okay.
they are is one of the only places that has regular water. There's a regular water supply.
Okay.
And that's coming at the top of the basin wall, basically. So they have channeled this in. They've made farms on the top of the basin wall, and they've actually set up guard posts all around the basin so that no one can get out of the basin even if they tried,
Oh.
essentially to keep the crystal that they know and they use to power their technology hidden from the outside world until they're ready to go and maybe try and conquer some other places or find out what else is out there, basically, without revealing their location. I guess kind of what they call a dark forest theory of like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you stay quiet unless you're, if you're a predator or prey, basically, you're
Hmm.
trying to stay quiet to either sneak up on someone or to stay hidden. If you're
Gotcha.
making noise, it's because you want to be found or you're trying to find something, basically.
Gotcha. But other people on the outside are aware, so you can get into the basement, which I think is really kind of cool.
Yes, for
So
sure.
you have this alien uh, concept going on, which is neat.
Yes.
Because these cultures are so different, particularly between the folks who live underground and the people who live above ground,
Mhm.
in the struggle for survival. If you have people from different cultures, what are some of the mechanisms that you've set in the design of the basin that you can bring these disparate groups together?
Awesome question. What a great question. I would say, first of all, any GM who is concerned about bringing together people who are from different cultures, do not be. My answer to that is, dude, relate it to our world. How many times have you been sat on a bus with people from different countries, different cultures who eat different food than you, and you can have a freaking conversation with them? Especially in America, where everyone is so polite and wants to talk to you. You could stop any, like most people on the street are willing to like stop and have a conversation with you, and they're probably not going to be of a similar upbringing, culture, style to you anyway. So to me, I really don't find much of a problem with integrating different cultures because I think that's what makes everything interesting. But what I would say is we've added in things like the Harmony Accords, which is a
Mhm.
current peace treaty that exists within the basin that is partially about managing the resources here and ensuring that no one's taking too much of the crystal, but
Mhm.
it's also to stop the constant all-out wars that were happening prior to this peace treaty being brokered, basically. And essentially, I would say, you can align anyone for motivations of individual motivations of, for example, someone might be a writer, might be like, I'm trying to understand more about the crystal so that I can help my people and develop our technology more. So being around someone from the Kai who is more technologically advanced would be helpful to me, in the same way that being around someone who's an unsettled and the way they use the crystal is
Uh-huh.
also helpful to me. Same with, the Skara, who also use it a different way to me as well. So there can be these individual motivations as well as a group thing of, if one group were to make a break to try and claim some of the central source, for example, as it's called, or something like that, other factions would align with each other almost instantly to fight off
Hunt
whoever
them
was
down.
trying to, take
Yep.
power or do anything like that. So the beautiful thing is you can have this gung-ho campaign that's a little bit Wild Westy out there. Or if you wanted to, you can go this super political route where people are making moves in the backgrounds and machinations as slowly people are trying to struggle for power and topple this harmony accord and eventually take control of the basin. So there's loads
Yeah.
of ways to bring the characters together.
I was just interested because the populations are um, so small and
Mm-hmm.
the resources are so limited. If you designed ways that they could interact and have space
Totally.
to interact. And it
Totally.
sounds like you've definitely done that. We
Yeah.
do have a question from Jason. Wait, where is this America he's speaking of? For some,
Cities, like most big
no.
cities, if you're walking in New York, you're going to bump into someone who's from China, probably. You're going to bump into someone who from
Oh, no,
India
you'll
or
see
something like
that.
that.
They won't talk. Well, I mean, maybe not in the Northeast.
Yes, that's
Like,
true. Yes, that's a really good point.
and
Yeah, they're a lot more cold.
Jason's from New England, and they're not going to
Ah,
talk to
okay.
you.
Yeah.
I used to describe the difference because I'm from Philly, so I used to
Mhm.
describe the difference between Philly and New England as when you're driving, people from both areas will cut you off. The difference is in how they react when they get beeped at.
Yes, yes, I love that.
So in New England, well, Boston area particularly is where I lived. In Boston, you don't exist. They just go and they like you beep at them, doesn't
Yeah,
matter at all. In Philly, we will acknowledge that you exist.
yeah,
We will do it by flipping you the bird, but we will acknowledge that you actually exist. So that's the difference between it. So,
exactly.
but we're not chatters. You go out to like
That's fair.
Lancaster, they'll chat. But you go
Yeah,
down south, they
down
like to
south,
talk.
out west as well. I would say you can
Yeah.
find a little bit more chat. Also in the Midwest, dude, every Minnesotan wants to tell you about their freaking truck, man. It's
Minnesota nice. Yes, that is a
yeah.
real thing. In the Northeast, you're like, what do they want from me?
Yeah. Why are you talking to me? What's up here?
Why?
What
What
what,
do
what can
you
I help
want?
you with today?
Yes, I actually had to get over that because I had to when I started in like reaching out to talk to folks for interviews. I was
Mhm.
like, I don't want to bother them. I don't want them to think I want something from them. And someone finally just was like, Wes, you're an idiot. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
And so I
just
started
just
interviewing people.
yeah, get out there. You got to just start doing it. Yeah, 100%. Stake your claim.
Jason, that's because we're busy. Boston is an hour from Boston. It is. It
Yep.
really
Yep.
is. I lived up
Yep.
there. All right. So we have this cool setting. There are 5 different factions. You can get people from out of the basin can fall in and do like a Planet of the Apes style thing where you're an alien out of the middle of nowhere. It's really, really cool world building.
Thank you.
So this leads us now to the setup of this basin because it is not designed specifically for a system.
No.
So what led you to go to a system agnostic setting instead of writing for one particular game?
So I think we're all aware that in the TTRPG space, Dungeons and Dragons owns the market. That's just
I'm
how it
sorry,
is.
what game is that?
Yeah, exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And whether it's very closely behind that are people like Paizo and Cobalt Press, and then you have the Shadow Darks, the Mork Borgs, and all the other semi-popular systems that exist, basically. And when we started writing our first book, which is called Sky Zephyrs, which was actually a vehicle mechanics supplement for D&D 5th edition and works for 2024, but D&D 5th edition at the time. Halfway through writing that, we get the gorgeous announcement that the OGL is being canceled, and Wizards of the Coast are here to inform us that none of us actually matter to their financial plans, and they hate us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that good bit of fun happened. And as a third party content creator, it just hurt. It was just painful.
Yeah.
I love this space, and Tom and I had only played D&D. We loved Fifth Edition. We were all in. We thought, if anyone asked us what's the best way to tell a story, we were saying Dungeons and Dragons were the words coming out of our mouths. And it just hurt, man. It just really, really hurt. So after that, Tom and I, we decided, cool, we're gonna have to try and work out what we're gonna do with Sky Zephyrs. And kind of change our plan a little bit. And we saw a bunch of our friends in the space be like, I'm sticking with D&D, and other people were like, screw this, I'm jumping ship, I'm out of here, basically, and I gotta go, basically.
Okay.
And so basically we started trying new systems. So we did an actual play series called Avatar: The Last Breath, which is a prequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender, and we played Avatar Legends. I'm super proud of that series. It's possibly my favorite actual play piece of content I've ever run in my life.
Awesome.
Super powerful story, lots of crying, great times, awesome all around. And after that, we were like, whoa, that was really cool. That was really fun. And one of our friends, Amber, the Space Jamber, who sadly isn't really in the space anymore, they introduced us to a system called Orbital Blues. And Orbital Blues is a Cowboy Bebop inspired 2d6 based system, which is incredible, has possibly some of the best mechanics I've ever seen in TTRPGs baked into their system.
So it's 2d6, but it's not powered by the apocalypse?
It's not powered by the apocalypse at all. No, it is a complete new system made by Soul Muppet Publishing.
Oh,
Out
Soul
here in
Muppet. I love Soul Muppet. They're awesome.
Yes, they're incredible. Yeah. And Orbital Blues, for anyone who hasn't played it, if you want to run sci-fi games, trust me, that's the system. Like, it allows so much freedom and has such clear and concise rules that you could teach it to a table who have never played before in 30 minutes. It's the most amazing system. To this day, Tom and I live and die by Orbital Blues. It's our absolute favorite. But, we've then done Call of Cthulhu, The One Ring, Morkborg, Pirate Borg, Pathfinder, Blades in the Dark, Daggerheart, Tales from the Loop, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And I've actually not run a 5e game since we played Avatar Legends.
Okay.
So we have fully moved away from D&D. I still play in actual plays where people play it. So I still play D&D, but I don't actually choose to ever play D&D at this point in time.
Okay.
So the reason for system agnostic comes straight down to, we realized that there was other people making incredible systems that were not trying to extort the community for the financial gain that others were doing. And we also realized that, as we played in different people's actual plays and moved through the space, that some people prefer playing Call of Cthulhu at their table, and that's just the system that best suits their table and their play style. Some people love, Morkborg for its simplicity and things like that. Other people, my best friend from high school absolutely adores Dungeons and Dragons because he loves the amount of crunch that they provide in that game. And so we just thought, everybody should be able to play a setting that we write. Everybody, no matter what table you have or what table you run or who who you're with and what your table loves, you should be able to play a Homie and the Dude setting. And so we started that with Wandering Tavern. We started kind of teasing it and bringing it into the Wandering Tavern. And then from there, we went into Scorched Basin, and I designed a whole new language, if you're familiar with game design, the language is things like, in Dungeons & Dragons, when it says, you must succeed on a DC 15 wisdom saving throw. On a failure, this happens. That is language that they use consistently. So I had to essentially invent a system agnostic language that could be easily converted either before games. So we say there's two ways to do it. You can either do it before the game, which will take minimal time, or the rules are so easy to interpret that you can do it live while you're playing the game. You don't need to have converted it beforehand. You can just be flipping through our book and converting as you go because it's that simple. So yeah, we just really lent into that. And this is my first iteration of it. Like, I plan to continue refining it and continue refining it as we release more products, as well as also we are going to be releasing that language that I use for free to the community so that anyone can write their books system agnostically. And we can
Okay.
start sharing some of that market space with everybody else and making stuff that works for everybody. Community is such a big thing for us. So that's, again, a lot of this comes down to community, and we wanted to make it playable for everybody. And that's how we did it. That's
Awesome.
how I came about doing that, basically.
So we know on your Kickstarter you've stated that that's like 5e's listed because it has to be.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
the thing. Shadow Dark and Daggerheart are both there. So now have you tested running Scorched Basin in those systems already?
Well, let's not pretend Shadow Dark is not D&D. Let's not pretend. Shadow
It
Dark
is
is.
D&D derived, yes.
Yes,
So
exactly. It's very, very similar. No, the answer is we tested it in like 5 to 6 different systems. Shadow Dark was not one of those systems.
okay.
However, we have had actual plays and other people testing our system, and they have run it in Shadow Dark, and they've
Yeah.
had a great time, and it's
So I
worked fantastically.
kind of my thing is for this would be what interests me is, have you tested it in both class level systems and in non-class level systems?
Such a great question. That is a great question. So yes, I have. And because what we wanted to do was, so for example, the player options that we provide in the book, which
Mm-hmm.
are, we have a magic system that can be tacked onto a player character. We have something called your Skara unique style, which can be tacked onto a player. And we have something called the speed state, which can be tacked onto a player. As well as that, actually, we have a species as well. So if you wanted to play a specific species, you could play a specific species.
Okay.
So the idea with all of that is, as you progress through levels, any of them that have a level progression, which the speed state, the Scar unique style, and the current magic system, or the wave manipulator magic system we have, all of those have level progression. So as you
Okay.
move up through your character, you're going to unlock more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
However, the way we write that is essentially, GMs, it's interpretable to you. You make the decision when your players move up through these progressions. We say typically each progression step happens at about a quarter of your way through the progression of the campaign or your character's specific progression.
Okay.
So for example, if you took at level 1, you took the wave manipulator ability, and you started choosing some manipulations and gaining your flow points and all this kind of stuff, then for a D&D player around level 5, you would then hop up to the next level of that progression, basically. Or we also write little mechanics for GMs to make it based on milestones, plot progressions, or even just story beats for characters, basically, that
Okay.
are arc beats for characters. And essentially the GM is who, decides when people move up through those progressions. So it works if you are levels, just do it based on the number of levels. If it's not level, use milestones, use story progressions, use plot points, use story beats for characters, or arc beats, or moments like that.
Okay.
Or even downtime, like they're training. Oh, amazing! You've trained 3 times in the last couple of sessions. You can go up a level, or you can go up some progression, basically.
So for a game that doesn't have that type of progression at all,
Yes.
so like Dragonbane,
Yes.
everything's skill based.
Yes.
So is it an easier, because the speed state I thought sounded really kind of fun.
Yeah.
Is there a way to translate that into, like, Dragonbane has all their magic as a secondary skill,
Mm-hmm.
because activating it is always a roll under of whatever your skill level is. So
Mm-hmm.
is there an easy enough way to take that idea and make speed state a skill, like a
Well,
secondary skill that you have to roll under? Like, is that going to break your progression system?
no, not at all. It doesn't break anything. No, no, no,
Okay.
no. So first of all, again, it can be a milestone thing. So it can be based on plot. You do not need to progress people based on any sort of level, skills, or anything like that. It can truly be based on what's happening at the story and the table and things like that. So
Okay.
regardless of what system you're playing, you're going to move forward in a story at some point, and that's when you could activate that stuff. However, if you wanted to convert it into like the Dragonbane roll under a certain skill, 100% you could definitely do that. What we provide you with is a set of mechanics that can be tacked on for your character. So for example, if you were playing in that game, to enter the speed state, you have to do there's certain prerequisites of
Hmm.
moving at fast. You have to be going a certain speed. You have to be shouting as you do it. So we often encourage players to shout and scream at the table to enter the speed state and things like that. And then you would roll 2d6 basically. And
Okay.
you'd compare that to what we call a like gear check, essentially to move up the different gears of the speed state as you go up.
Okay.
So yes, it's very much something that is simply added on to the system or easily converted to the system that you want it to be.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I mean, it's like part of it is linked to more level type progression, but I like the way that you have opened it to being transitioned in other ways.
Yes, totally.
Um, so the Kickstarter right now is live.
Mhm.
And there is as I said already, there is a PDF primer that people can download from there as well,
Yes.
which I guess I read the majority of it this morning. Oh, Swords and Stones is here. Hi, Swords and Stones. How are you? Good
Hello,
to see
swords
you.
and stone.
Um, and Stones. Um, my first question is, just having read it, who did the interior artwork for it?
Oh, dude, shout out to Art of Caustic, Alexander Caustic, our artist out in Serbia. He is one of my closest friends at this point. He is an absolute animal when it comes to making artwork. Every single piece of artwork in this book is done by him. Every single piece of artwork in our last book was done by him. And every single piece of artwork in the book before that was also done by him. He is exceedingly incredible at just working with him. He is the easiest artist to work with. Me and him are so aligned. Often I will be like, I got this idea. And he's like, that's sick. I know what we're going to do, blah, 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 blah. And then we kind of go from there. But in this book, you will see him flex 7 different art styles throughout this book. Different line weights, different line styles, different color palettes, different coloring styles. And there's, sketchbook styles all the way full to full color, bright artwork
I'm going to
pieces
bring up
all the way
your
throughout it.
Kickstarter page so we can show them some of the
Oh,
imagery
amazing.
there. I mean, it was really neat. And I almost, with the media kit that you guys sent out for folks who are doing interviews, I literally almost did just a composite of all the internal artwork from the book. That's all, like, it was almost like this watercolor
Yeah.
that was the sun image with the birds flying and then just the salt
Yes.
flat. I just couldn't quite get everything filled, but it's folks, it's really neat. These
uh,
different styles that come through.
By the way, shout out to Swords and Stones for noticing something incredible. Yes, heavy metal is very much something we're inspired by throughout all of this, but you also notice that there's a level of Mobius inspiration with this, and that is very clearly, our artist actually has a Mobius piece of art tattooed on him, and for this one, we really lent into that style and really wanted to go down that path.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's
It's really
incredible.
cool. Like, go folks, do it after the interview so that we don't lose our viewers, but it's really, really well done.
Also, I would love to give a shout out as well to Chris Hopper, who is one of the goats in the TTRPG space. Most big supplements that are being released at the moment have Chris Hopper's hands somewhere on them, but he is our layout artist. So you will see throughout this book 6 different layout styles as well. And he has done all of that incredible layout stuff, getting the blue splattered bloods of the paint in the Skara chapter. You'll see in the corners you have the day and night of the unsettled. For the Doflock, it looks like you're in a cave and gives you all these stylings. And whether you've backed things like the Stormlight RPG,
Hmm.
Draw Steel, Daggerheart, Candela Obscura, any of those, Chris Hopper has worked on them. So
Okay,
he's
cool.
an absolute legend and is amazing at what he does. One of the best. And not to mention, he runs a farm in his spare time like a madman, like an absolute madman. And he's awesome. He's awesome.
That is so cool. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, because I love layout. I don't think to ask about who does it half the time.
Yeah.
I really, if you read or look at my reviews are like, okay, let's look at the layout because
Mm.
I'm a nerd. Um, but one of the interesting things, and this is how I came into contact with you guys, you have taken a rather novel approach to advertising the Scorched Basin.
Yes.
So, can you describe for folks like what this idea is and how it's working?
Yeah. So, tiny bit of background. When we first started was back when, I'm not sure if you were a part of the space at this point or whether you remember, because the content creator space was different than just enjoying the hobby, I guess, I
Hmm.
think is,
Hmm.
is, is something. When we first started in COVID, Twitter had not been bought by Elon Musk at this point. And
Still existed, yes. Yep.
it was this gorgeous haven for TTRPG. For some obscure reason, everybody was there. And everybody was incredibly open to helping each other and supporting each other. And it was freaking beautiful. And so we had some people who really helped us out in those early days to introduce us into space. Shout out to Underground Oracle Publishing, Jess and Keith. Shout out to Amber, Space Jamber. Shout out to Sam Comerford, B. Dave Walters, Matt from Dungeon Glitch, Matt from Roleplay Chat. You know, all these Double DM podcast,
Hmm.
like all these people just helped us and cared about us and brought us into the space and taught us the ropes and introduced us to people. And so community has been a core principle here at Homie and the Dude for a very long time. You know, we're a family here at Homie and the Dude. I literally work with my dad, my
Hmm.
mom, Ben, who is our operations manager. My writing partner, Emily, is his partner. So we are like, it is truly like an actual family, us here. And we sit around my dining table, which is literally on the other side of this camera. It's super small, and we're just all about the people and the community and the space, and we just love that. So we've been trying to work out how we can give back to the community. What is our method to give back to the space? And what's happened over the last couple of years is we've seen huge YouTubers who have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and things like that no
Hmm.
longer be able to continue doing what they do because YouTube's not paying them enough, or the algorithm isn't doing what they quite need, or so on and so forth. And that's just, you know, heartbreaking for me because I love the space. I love watching my TTRPG YouTube content that I consume and my Instagram content that I consume. Without those people, I wouldn't have anything to enjoy when I'm taking a poop. So I very much, you know, appreciate this whole space. And they, you know, when I go to bed, I watch actual plays. I'm currently watching Legends of Evantress and am deep in their actual play at the moment. So for me and Tom, we wanted to give back. We wanted with this one to try something. We wanted to try a method that has never been done before in the TTRPG space, and we wanted to give it a go. We're not sure if we're going to do this method forever, but we're going to keep trying to make sure that we can give back to the community in the best way feasibly possible. You know, and to keep giving back and keep giving back. But we essentially have gone away from all marketing, all advertising and things like that that are done through big corporations, and we're trying to just do it all through the community. And we're doing what is essentially called like a profit share, where you guys get half of whatever you bring in to our project because you've made effort to either have us on a podcast, talk about stuff, do voiceover lines that people are doing, or, you know, make an ad or whatever it might be. And we've, you know, put in the effort to make a product that's out there that can hopefully bring us both in some financial security and some love with that kind of stuff. So, you know, our hope is we will always have the profit share. That will always be something we do. We want to keep refining, because the other thing is, for small creators, there's some people who, you know, have X couple of, you know, thousand, you know, subscribers, or, you know,
Hmm.
X couple of thousand, you know, Instagram followers or whatever it might be. And some of them just aren't able to convert people to get that portion share that we want to do. And we've seen that over this campaign. So we really want to make sure that actually going into the next one, we're going to find a new way to ensure that not only does everyone get the profit split, we're going to come up with a new way to make sure everybody gets a piece of something. Everybody who does something gets a little chunk of it, basically. So we're just trying to give back, man. Honestly, without without Brennan Lee Mulligan being one of my inspirations as GMing, I wouldn't be who I am as a GM. Without Abria Iyengar, without Matt Mercer, without the incredible cast of their actual plays, without Chris Perkins, Patrick Rothfuss, the OGs for me, without the incredible creators of Jeremy Crawford at Wizards of the Coast and all those amazing people who are, even though they're under the cosh of, Hasbro, are still making amazing things and trying to, love this space and do all that stuff. Every small creator who has a podcast and is trying to do this in their spare time, trying to make a job out of it, try and, find something. Every creator who is, doing Instagramming and things like that, or cosplaying or whatever you are in this space, you're keeping this alive. This has been going for 80 years. Like, I'm not sure if people are, conscious of how incredible that is. This has been going for so long now. This has been, the TTRPG and playing games around a table and role-playing at a table has been going on for so long now. And it's because every single person contributes to this space. And we just want to keep that going. We just want to keep that going, man. And we love that.
It's one of the things that I was thrilled about. For the record, for folks, for this, that QR code that's on this page is not my referral link, just because I don't do that. So I don't want to get anything from the people I bring on for that. So that is a plain link that goes to the site.
One of the good guys. One of the good guys.
So
guys. What
it's a little
that's
bit
what this
selfish.
is all about.
It's a little bit selfish. I got called a paid shill one time when I wasn't a paid shill, and I got annoyed. And if you know anything, if you know anything about Gen Xers, the worst thing you could do is annoy a Gen Xer. I was like, and I wasn't even paid. I was just like, no, I just thought it was funny. We did a Shadow Dark actual play. It's like, you're just another paid shill. Like, I'm not a paid shill. Like, I don't do that. This is for a really cool product that I love to bring on, and I loved what they were doing for the community. So thank you for that. Swords and Stone wants to know if this is USA or UK based.
Great. So we live in the UK. I live in England, but Tom and I are both American. Our families are American, and on top of that as well, we actually we have our distributor is in America as well. So all of the books and everything that we send out is from America. So technically, the answer is yes to your question. And yet another or question where I'm giving a yes answer.
It's my favorite response to an either or question. Yes.
I'm letting the team down drastically today with those.
It's fine. Jason points out that he found out about you guys because you were on Gamer Mom Luna's Tale from the Tavern show at one point.
Dude, shout out to Gamer Mom Luna, dude. What an incredible show that has had so many amazing people on. And, she is just this light in the community. Her Discord server is incredible. All of it's amazing. I love her. Love that person. She is incredible, and her space is amazing. The people who support her are amazing. Shout out to that. Big fan.
This space is phenomenal. I really love it. And I would Glenn Finney here. He was definitely a real person. Unless that was the best AI avatar that has ever been done for our live chat. Yes. Glenn runs RPGs against Alzheimer's disease. So
hell yeah, Glenn, dude. I used to fundraise for Alzheimer's Society when I first moved to Bristol. I was part of a charity fundraising that was part of Alzheimer's Society over here in the UK, and it's such an incredible cause and such a debilitating disease and condition that people suffer from. And yeah, Glenn, you're a badass, dude. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yet another thing I do not wish on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
So I love everything about this. So when does this campaign end? How much longer do people have to back it?
Guys, you have 24 days left. 24 days to grab some of the exclusive stuff that is on this campaign. There is one-shots run by the legendary B. Dave Walters that you can get as an add-on. There's signed and limited edition metal posters that our artist, Alexander Artacaustic, has signed and numbered for you guys, so you can get limited edition metal posters. We're doing a very small dice run as well, so if you want a set of crystal-inspired dice to go with the crystals that you're going to see throughout this setting, you're going to be able to get all of that good stuff, but you got 24 days to nab that up.
Oh, awesome. Poor Swords and Stones. Either way, USA or UK would be tough for me because Canada's shipping is gross right now.
Oh,
I don't
that,
understand. Why would shipping from the UK be gross to Canada? You're in the Commonwealth.
oh well, it's because boats or planes.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, just
yeah,
crazy.
just ridiculous. And I think the good thing is, Swords and Stones, we have done our absolute best to lower those amounts down as much as feasibly possible. We're working with our distributor constantly to get our numbers down as low as feasibly possible. And we're making sure that also things like tariffs and stuff are not passed on to the consumer at all. As of September estimations for all that stuff, we're not passing anything on to our customers whatsoever.
That's a big deal with the way the tariffs are going right now. So
Yeah,
thank you for doing that
of course.
because we live in the stupidest timeline. And Glenn points out Cheers are going to be doing another 2026 RPGs versus Alzheimer's disease. Going to start organizing it in January.
Awesome.
So remember, homie and the dude.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, Glenn, if you need anything to like give away or anything like that, I would be delighted to contribute some of our products to that. I would be stoked to provide, PDFs and all manner of stuff that I could possibly give you to give away on those streams to help raise money. Whatever we can do, you reach out to Homie and the Dude, and we would be glad to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks, Glenn. Glenn and I are playing his system, Clever, Cool, Crazy, tomorrow night, set in Babylon 5,
Sick.
which
That's
is,
awesome.
unfortunately, the timeline feels too similar right now. Um,
Yeah, right.
but anyway, one of the interesting things about it is that you're planning on shipping your rewards early next year. Did I read that right? Is it
Yes.
February
So
26th?
So the objective is this. We haven't released an official timeline because there's a couple of factors that we're contending with. The first one is the climate of the
Okay.
economy in America, obviously. But primarily what we're dealing with is we need to finish the book. Now, unlike most Kickstarters, you're
Okay.
not going to be waiting 2 years or a year for a book. We are aiming to have the PDF done by the end of 2025. That is our current goal. If that changes, we will 100% be informing the community about that. But we aim to have the PDF and all digital rewards released at the end of 2025. It will then be about a
Okay.
8 to 10 week lead time on printing and things like that. So we're hoping to get the
Gotcha.
books out or like January, February, March in that range. But you're not going to be waiting, you're not going to be waiting a year. We're trying to very much bring
It's
it,
a
cut it down.
fast turnaround. So I'm looking forward. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Amazing.
Glenn said, "How about you do a live play in the Scorched Basin for the RPGs
Oh,
versus AD or against AD?"
I would love to. If it's, I would love if you have GMs running stuff and they want to run the Scorched Basin. I would be delighted to. Tom and I would come and play and be chaos monsters at whatever table you might need, and I would also be happy to run something as well. That whatever
Oh, that
works
would
for
be
you.
cool.
Reach out, and based on timings, if we're free, I'd be glad to do something like that for
Yep.
sure.
And Jason is also very fond of Gamer Mama Luna.
Oh, mate. Oh, Ink. No way. No
Yeah.
way, Jason. Dude, I did not realize that you were connected there. That's also legend. Absolute legend. You picked well, good sir. You picked well.
That is awesome. You've already talked about how tariffs are not or are not going to affect the campaign, which is
Mhm.
fantastic. It has been over an hour. I got to get ready to pick up my little one from school. And I do want to have a little bit of time to chat with you afterwards. So, can you just take like a minute to give people your best pitch as to why they should back this and what the coolest thing about the Scorched Basin setting is, according to you?
Uh, okay, elevator pitch. This is a Dune slash Mad Max inspired TTRPG setting that is system agnostic. You can play it with any system you want, and it will function and is easily convertible for those systems. On top of that, you're going to have 5 unique factions, each one with different cultures, different religions, different combat styles, different ways that they live and exist. Not to mention recipes written by a world-class chef, my mother, who has cooked for the likes of presidents, religious figures, and celebrities across the world. So you can eat cultural dishes at your table. There's languages. There's 3 languages that are included in this book with typable fonts, one of which is going to teach you ASL, American Sign Language, to continue spreading accessibility throughout the community. One of them is going to teach you Morse code, which again spreads accessibility massively for those who have suffered from things like heart attacks, strokes, or possibly paralyzed in other ways as well. You will also find new systems like our new alchemy system, our new magic system, our land vehicle mechanics system. You'll find a bunch of land vehicles, new technology options, and so much more. I cannot tell you how expansive this book is. It's over 300 pages of chaos. And the coolest thing about it, I will tell you the coolest thing about it. Every person who contributed to this book has made this project what it is. So I guarantee you, your favorite creators in the space have voiced an NPC. That's not to mention every NPC has voice lines to go along with them. So you can scan a QR code and find out what NPCs sound like. But almost every incredible creator in this space who you probably have heard about has contributed to this product. So this is not a Homie and the Dude product. This is a community product. This is a family project. This is an everybody project. That's the coolest thing, is how many people have gotten behind this. So I stand by it. I love every single person who's contributed to it. I'm thankful for Emily, my writing partner, who is the greatest mind that I've worked with in terms of creativity. I'm thankful for my father, who has supported us and does the marketing here. My mother, who is our community support person. Ben, our operations manager. Chris, our layout artist. Alex, our artist. Tallulah, our video editor. And then every other person who has contributed to this campaign. Yeah, it's the thing I am most proud of that I have ever done.
I need
Ever done in my life.
I need a soundboard just to do applause. That was really a really good pitch. You got a couple comments on that. Your
Hell
energy
yeah.
was amazing. Great, but no, that was a fantastic pitch. Thank you so much, folks. You can scan that QR code and go back the Scorched Basin right down below Bodhi there. It is live today. You've got a couple of weeks yet to look at it, but why wait? Just go get it now. And now I'm looking at the things.
And I'll throw two
Oh,
other things out there that I want to throw out there. And
go.
I've got a question for you as well that I want to ask quickly
Sure.
before we round out. First of all, if you want to support your favorite creators, go find their Scorched Basin link through their videos or things like that,
Yeah.
and go support through them, because you will then be doing that profit sharing with them and giving them a chunk of that money. So make sure you're supporting your favorite creators when you back the Scorched Basin. And then also, if you've enjoyed this show, make sure that you're liking, subscribing, following, commenting, engaging the algorithm, because guys, Wes is an incredible person who is making awesome stuff in this space, providing you with great stuff to listen to. Look at this incredible chat feed. It's all because this guy is getting up and doing this stuff in his time and doing that. So support him, engage the algorithm. It takes 2 freaking minutes, but please help Wes and DM Tales continue to be awesome and amazing.
Dude, Bodhi, thank you. I'm going to go hide in a corner now. That was awesome. So thank you so much. I
Of
I
course.
have to get going. I'm
Of
going
course.
to sign out
No
on going
worries.
solo for me. Please stick around on line while I
Yes,
close out,
of
just so I can
course.
say thank you afterwards. But this was fantastic. So, oh my gosh, that was an absolute blast. So thank you everybody for watching. For folks who are coming in later on, because this is, the afternoon and apparently people have jobs and things. Really good time. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Go back this project. And like Bodhi said, if you want to support your favorite creators, go and scan their referral links, and they'll get a little bit of a cut of what is raised, which is a really cool idea. If you scan mine, you don't get me anything because I'm not taking anything for it. This is a journalism interview. Um, so coming up on the channel, like I said, tomorrow night at 8:30, we're doing Clever, Cool, Crazy with Glenn Finney, doing the Babylon 5 universe, where I get to play a human ranger who is from one of the breakaway uh, colonies of Earth during the Shadow War. So it should be a lot of fun. I am working on my video for insights from the history of TTRPGs from the reading that I have been doing this summer, and I am currently reading Ironbound by my friend Dave Ward. It is a fantastic system, really, really fun game by a really good guy. Looking forward to bringing that on the table. Star Trek Adventures is there. It's next up in the queue. I'm really excited to come and read that. Hi, Chris, you got on the end of the feed. And if you heard my complaints from Random Thoughts last week, not my complaints, but my musing, this week, Savage Rifts literally arrived today. So I finally have that, and I opened up the book. I'm probably going to do it as short just to show you the box and how it's all set up. It's really cool. I'm looking forward to getting that as well. And I have Old Gods of Appalachia there behind me as well that I have to take a look at. So many fun things going on. I have another couple of streams that we're trying to get set up right now, and it should be an absolute blast. I'm looking forward to bringing this all to you. And until we see each other again, folks, and bye, Chris. Thanks. I'm glad you caught the last end. Happy playing, everyone.